Hi, guys. Thanks for joining. This is Essence of Science. Today we're talking about climate. I'm Amanda Armagost.
I'm Dr. Abbasi for Essence. What an interesting topic, Amanda.
Yeah, it is a really interesting topic. I remember in the fall and in the summer, everyone was saying, oh, this is going to be an El Nino. This is going to be an El Nina. And I understood that as El Nino, and I might be wrong. Can you search it while I'm
Okay,
talking about it?
I can search.
That El Nino meant um warmer with a lot of water. And then I understood that El Nina meant colder with less water. So right now the temperatures are about 30 degrees higher than they normally would be, which is insane for me. Today is 52 degrees. I don't think in my lifetime I've ever had a February or a January 31st. That's 52 degrees, no snow, not even predicted to have snow. We're actually predicted to have rain next week. But so it says that in general, an El Nino leans to wetter, snowier conditions and cooler maximum temperatures. I don't think that that really resonates with what we're having right now. We're definitely having warmer temperatures and way less precipitation.
Yeah, well, I have lived only 12 years here in Minnesota, but I don't recall any winter being this warm. Now, certainly weather have its own variation. So that by itself, that having a warm winter, that by itself doesn't mean anything. But have you heard that the last 10 winters or last 10 years across the world has been registered to be the warmest ever recorded years in the human history?
Yeah, I believe that. I remember my first ever warm winter that I was old enough to actually process was I was in seventh grade, so it was about 10 years ago now, and it was so warm that the following summer we actually had a lot of trees die because there were bugs that were migrating from the south, specifically from Florida, up to the north, and
Florida bug.
yeah, they
Not
were these
Florida man, but Florida bug.
thank God. Stuff still died, but just kidding. But the bugs were eating the trees and killing them
Yeah.
because they felt comfortable moving up north because of the temperatures.
Yeah, yeah. No, and as well, everybody I talk to, they tell me, wow, winter used to be much, much colder and so on. So this is something that we can feel in a one human life. That is, I cannot overemphasize what is the significant of that is that we in a human life can feel the temperature changes across the world actually.
And it's not just 5 degrees, it's like 30 degrees difference.
Yeah, but you know, across the world though, all the measurements show that that across the world the temperature variation compared to what it used to be is about 1 or 2 degree, but that 1 or 2 degree across the world globe makes a tremendous amount of change. And this as well, you know, let's actually talk about that. I mean, why is it that you know that the random things can be very high variation in the temperature, but why is it that this what we are feeling is not the random variation? So what do you understand under that when they say they use the word you use the word global warming, not they say global climate change. What do you understand when you hear that word?
Okay, so what I understand is that they like to say climate change now instead of global warming because global warming implies that the temperatures are getting higher, when in reality, I believe that they're changing it to climate change because the temperatures aren't only getting higher, but the everything is changing. So
It's a cascade effect.
yeah, it's not only the temperatures, but it's the precipitation or the droughts. We're having a lot of droughts in the US too.
Now, what if I told you the Earth has gone through tremendous episodes of Earth getting hot and cold? It was a time that the entire Earth was frozen, solid, like kilometers or miles frozen.
Yeah.
And it was a time that, you know, that the Earth was much hotter than it is right now. Obviously, in those times, the life as we know it wouldn't be possible. But what if I told you that Earth has gone through those episodes?
Well, I understand the Earth has gone through those episodes, of course,
Mhm.
but I don't think that those episodes were brought, I think they were more gradual, and regardless, it caused a lot of change throughout the Earth. I think that, of course, it's natural that the Earth, like the climate's going to change just because of rotating and things like that, but it shouldn't be changing like this.
Okay.
And we're having a huge impact on that. We're influencing that change like negatively.
Now, I asked actually Misha and Jimmy, who are science geeks, this question, and they failed. Let's see how you do with this question. Imagine sun gives Earth energy, right? All our energy comes more or less from sun. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. How much and Earth reflects that energy back to universe, to the space? How much of the energy that sun sent to Earth get reflected back to space?
I don't know, like not a lot,
Percentage.
maybe 3.
3% get reflected back to Earth, to space.
Mhm.
You stay by that?
Yeah.
No.
Well, I have
So
no
what you're-
background information.
so-
Like I don't have any like ingredients for this.
No, imagine
Quiz you're giving
sun gives us, let's say, 100 trillion megajoule. I'm just making that number up. That the sun sent to Earth as a sunlight, 100 megajoules of energy. So you're saying that we keep 97% of the Earth,
Yeah.
and then 3% gets reflected back to the space.
Mhm.
So imagine now you put a pie in your oven, and your oven is so well insulated that when you give it energy, keep 97% in and 3% radiates out of your oven. What happened to that oven?
It's so hot.
Well, and you keep
And pressure is
day
built
after
up.
day after day after day for millions of years you give, and the oven, whatever energy you give to that oven, only 3% of that gets out of the oven. What happens?
It's going to have a lot of pressure
And it gets hotter and hotter
and explodes.
and explodes. So
That's why when you broil, you're supposed to crack your oven open.
yeah, so imagine if we would keep 97% of the energy of the sun over millions of years, the Earth would be vaporized if we would keep 97% of the energy. In reality, we don't keep 97% of the energy of the Earth, of the sun. As a matter of fact, if the Earth as a whole would keep even 0.0001% of the energy of the sun, it still would heat up and everything would be vaporized, because over every single day, imagine, we get so much energy from the sun. As a matter of fact, we reflect in 100% of the energy of the sun back to space, but we get lots of higher level of energy, like we get the ultraviolet like energy of the sun, or high frequency. For every photon, we reflect back to the universe or space 30 photon. So we get high energy level photon and we send back low energy level photon, but more of it. But we send back to the space the 100% energy of the sun. Now that varies, because some of the energy that we send back to space is infrared energy, and that get absorbed in our atmosphere. I'm sure you have heard the greenhouse effect, right? What do you understand of the greenhouse effect?
Like greenhouses make things warmer basically because
Mhm.
they like I think keep like the light in or something.
Some of the energy. Now, practically we get nice high value photon from sun, high frequency, we use it to do work for us, but then the leftover, like sewage water, now in your house, how much of the water that you bring to your house you send back to the sewage?
A lot.
All of it, most of it.
Mm,
Almost, you see, if it's not sewage, it is
Getting
vaporized
drained,
drain.
getting used for cooking.
Well, you still, after you eat that food, you go to bathroom, you still send that
Mhm.
away, right? Imagine now you would keep half of the water that comes to your house, only send half of it back to sewage. You would be drowning in that house soon. So the same way, we get high value energy from the sun, and then once we put it to good use, we send it back to space as a low value infrared, low frequency photon back to the sun, back to the space. But now there are certain molecules in our atmosphere that absorb those energy. They don't let that sewage go out. Imagine you have a blockage in your drainage, in your sewage, in your pipes that takes the sewage out of your house. That molecules, we know what they are. Mostly carbon dioxide. Even though a very small fraction of the atmosphere is made of carbon dioxide, but they're efficient actually to absorb that energy. Don't let it practically make a blockage in your sewage. There are some other molecules that are even 40, 100 times more efficient than carbon dioxide, like methane, natural gas. That's why too many cows are not good for global warming, because they produce a lot of methane. And then that absorbs more of the sun's energy on the way out. So and that lies the problem. So 100% of the energy of the sun gets reflected back, but these molecules in the Earth's atmosphere, mostly carbon dioxide, they prevent us to send that energy back. So the whole atmosphere, the whole Earth warms up more and more and more. And we are talking about probably 1 millionth or 1 trillionth of the energy of the sun. Anything beyond that would make the Earth like a scorched, a molten planet. So it's very minimal, but still, that few temperature changes has a huge cascade effect in the entire world.
Mhm.
Now, carbon dioxide has been a natural element in the entire Earth. As a matter of fact, we know that Earth was frozen, miles of ice everywhere, no water, no liquid water, after certain episode in Earth history. But then, as a matter of fact, volcanoes start exploding, putting too much carbon dioxide and sulfur dioxide, which is way more efficient than carbon dioxide. They absorbed sun's energy, they caused the greenhouse effect, and they made life even possible. So greenhouse effect actually was partially responsible for Earth to be livable. But now we have this record that in the last 150 years, the amount of carbon dioxide in the Earth atmosphere is not the statistic variation. It has been going up and up and up. And there's a story when I was 11 years old, no, actually, I was 10 years old. I was on the side of the street. I was trying to cross and I was running. So I was, short of breath. I was breathing a lot. And I saw all these cars driving on the street in Tehran. And I was just thinking about, oh my God, I myself and all these cars, we are competing with the oxygen that is in the air. Will it ever come a moment that that there's not enough oxygen, or that, because look at this car, they are using so much of the oxygen. Like I knew at that point that one car while driving using like for 500 people oxygen of 500 people would use in the same time period and so on. So I think with 10 years old, I was understanding all these cars, all this industry, all these things was using way more what biology could ever use the oxygen, produce carbon dioxide. So the records are very clear
Yeah.
that our industrial usage of the Earth's atmosphere has been tremendous. I think what we know very for sure is that the Earth atmosphere has been going up and down on carbon dioxide, but it was an episode when the carbon dioxide was so much that Earth was way too hot and not livable. But then the plants, especially algae in the water, start taking that off the atmosphere. And then the plants, for millions and millions of years, they put the carbon dioxide into organic material and in cellulose, and then they piled up before the bacteria could decompose it. So bacteria didn't know for a long time, they didn't know what to do with cellulose, with the tree. They didn't know what to do with it. So they piled up and up and up. So that enabled the Earth to take a lot of carbon dioxide from atmosphere and put it as a fossil fuel in the Earth, coal.
Mhm.
That's what coal is. Coal is all the trees that did not decompose, because bacteria at that time had no idea what to do with cellulose. Oil is all the organic matter that did not decompose completely, and they get squeezed together and make this carbohydrate that we now use. This has been produced over hundreds of millions of years. Now in last 100 years, so from 100 millions of years, now in 100 years, we are just pumping them up, taking them out and burning it.
Mhm.
And the good news here is that, we know a lot about these processes. We understand how this works, and we know this is not natural. This is human made.
Yeah.
And I think that is,
Well, I think even like I would prefer to use the term like corporation made than human made. I hate the idea that it's always put on us as humans, like go recycle, but then you recycle and your stuff's not getting brought to the recycling plant. It's actually getting brought to the garbage.
yeah.
So I would prefer to use corporation made than human. I
Well,
don't want to.
corporations are made of people. So I think I wouldn't have this dichotomy. The corporation is not like that anorganic thing. The corporation is made of people, and they serve people. I think I understand that your point is that the greed is actually
My
causing
point
that.
is, even if every single person buys a Prius, we're still going to be in a bad situation. It's not about humans, it's about the
Mhm.
businesses and the greed side.
But
But
what
we
if I
can
told you, I'm a little more optimistic than that. What if I told you that amount of the fuel that we use per mile of driving is 1/5 now than it was 50 years ago? That's a
No, I
positive
agree.
improvement.
I agree. It's a positive improvement, but don't put the burden on us. How many, I don't want to get political, but like, how much damage does a bomb do compared to a car
Oh, well,
to the earth? How
well,
much damage does
yeah,
how much damage does a chemical plant putting stuff literally in the air, dark clouds do compared to your Ford F-150 or my Ford Fusion? Like, yeah, it's gone down a lot, but what else has gone up?
yeah, well, I'm very optimistic here. I think our knowledge, our science has advanced tremendously in the last just 20 years. Now, and as well, I am very optimistic in a sense that, and again, this is not a political thing. This is the earth. This is where our children are going to live. This is about that we understand that this climate change, this variation is number one, is beyond statistical variation
Yeah.
that nature would allow. This is man-made.
Yeah.
And it's man-made because we take the carbon that has been a billion year or many millions of years in the earth, and our nature, our earth has taken it, put it for millions of years in the earth. Within 100, 200 years, we are taking it out and putting back in the earth.
And not only that, but we're not replacing the plants that we're destroying. Like we're bulldozing like forests to build homes. And then instead of replanting the same amount of trees, you do nothing. Actually, as a matter of fact, you you have to have a driveway now, and this driveway is made out of concrete, and now water can't get through the driveway back into the earth, and then it
Mhm.
starts flooding the roads, stuff like that. Yeah, we have the knowledge, but do we have the empathy?
Well, I think we do. I think
I
I'm
think you
optimistic.
do.
Yeah, well, no, let's go back to that. See, we understand number one, the mechanism of it.
Mhm.
We understand that we human are the culprit. It is not natural. And we understand what the consequences of that are in the future if we don't act. And believe it or not, we are acting on it. Like all the windmills, just in our lifetime,
True.
all the solar panels, it's free energy. It's renewable. It doesn't, and it's going to become cheaper and cheaper. Just I think our most important change in our climate understanding is that we connected the climate future to our economy. I think one of the mistakes that has been in this militant kind of environmentalist is that, you have to shut down the economy to save the planet. I think the most advanced thing in the last 10 years has been that just the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
Saving the climate can grow our economy.
Yeah.
Like literally, that is some of the things that I think we in the United States have to wake up to. That is that we had invented the electric car, but we didn't act on it. It has to go to Japan and Asia
Yeah.
and come back to us. We should have been like solar technology. We invented that, but now China is the most producer of solar technology and so on. We have the innovation and so on. Now, I'm a globalist, meaning that I'm still okay if China or humanity wins on that, but I'm as well localist in the sense that, we shouldn't keep inventing things and letting other people get the benefit of that. I think that is the most un-American thing, that we have a
Totally.
technology and we ignore it because of political issues, and that's what it is.
Mhm.
If I can win, listen, the amount of the sun energy that comes to the earth, if we could capture 1% of that, we would be the richest country in the whole world, and we would be 10 times richer than we are now. Why? Because listen, the sun's energy, it's on our head. We don't have to take it out of the earth. We don't have to transport it. We don't have to, it is free.
Yeah.
We just have to allow our economy be built on that.
And I
Well,
think, and you're like, I agree with you that we are making the right moves, at least in Minnesota. Like, Minnesota is banning forever chemicals. You can't have food or like drinks and things like that are wrapped in forever chemicals or forever plastics. So I think that at least some places are making the right moves
mhm.
and making kind of laws that are more environmental.
You're acting. I'm again optimist. No, we were talking about the climate. No, though there is we understand now more than ever, still not enough, that the consequence of our action are very, very severe, and it's as a cascade effect, and it is in ways that we still cannot calculate the true consequence of that. Have you heard of that saying that the butterfly's flip of a wing in somewhere in the
Yeah, chaos theory.
chaos theory, that somewhere in Africa causes a hurricane in the United States? Do you understand what that means? That small variation of temperature or climate change in one area causes a cascade effect that has severe consequences somewhere else, because it's, as chaos theory says, is that minute, very minuscule variation in starting condition can have immense effect later on. So, and that is as well something that the climatologist and the scientists, they truly understand, that we have to let the nature, which has found over hundreds of millions of years its balance, we have to disturb it as little as possible. So, no, we are talking about the effect of the climate, effect of the human activities on the climate. And one of the problem that we have here is actually a number of the humans that are on planet. Now, obviously, we know that we have now about 7.2 billion people on planet. When I was born, do you know how many people we had on the planet? Half of
Mhm.
that. Just a little more than 50 years ago, we had half of that. Now we are double that number. Now, how many people can we really fit on this earth before we wreck it? What do you think?
Well, I don't really think it's a matter of how many people can we fit. I don't think we need to maximize anything. I think that already, I mean, we have this 3D house printing company, and every time we talk about lot size, I'm the only one being kind of rude about it. Like, stop making the yard smaller. You don't need to squeeze that many people into one place. Like, we still need the earth. Like, you can't just fill it up with houses. The question, how many people can we fit, to me is insane. It
No,
should,
no, but
how many
I'm
people
telling
can
you,
how many people can we manage?
okay. This is actually a question. Now, 50 years ago, everybody was thinking if we hit 6 million people, it'll be a huge catastrophe on
6
the earth.
billion?
6 billion, yeah. Huge catastrophe on earth because we cannot manage to give them food and so on. But every time, or 100 years ago, some people thought if we hit 2 billion, everything on earth is going to break down. But every time we are there, our science goes even more further.
Well, humans always adapt. That's the thing.
Mhm.
We always adapt.
Yeah. Well, not only adaptation. It's about that, we didn't know how to feed that many people, but then we found out genetic modified food that grows faster,
Mhm.
and we can take more from an acre. That literally the idea was there's not enough farmland to feed all these people, but then now our food is 100 times more efficient.
And
Growing
now
food is not tasty, but 100 times more efficient.
and now stomach cancer rates are like, actually stomach cancer is the biggest cancer death in people my age.
Yeah, well, still we have more people now than we had ever had on the planet.
I don't think it's
No,
great accomplishment.
I'm not putting a value on it.
Yeah.
I'm just stating the facts.
No, and I'm saying like, yeah, we can fit more people, but at what cost?
Well, I'm not propagating that we should fit more people on the earth, but this is the fact. At this point, we think that the population will actually go up a little more, up to 12 billion, but then will stabilize and will fall back. And the reason for that is in most of the world, actually human population is not growing anymore.
That's what I heard. I heard in some places it's actually declining, right?
Yes, it is actually declining, but we have to as well stabilize that. It cannot decline too
No.
fast because it has, but the idea is here that we have found that when a society reaches certain level of standards of living, actually the population doesn't grow anymore. That it makes actually no sense, meaning that if you are poor, if you cannot feed your children, you'll have more children. But if you are not poor, if you have the disposable income, meaning you can go vacation and so on, people decide having less children because they want to enjoy their life. I don't know, but
Well, and also when you're poor, like a lot of times you have more children so that your children can help you doing other things, like
possible.
help you working, help you taking care of the other children so you can work.
Lots of theories there, but this is the fact. Okay. And I think if we care about the climate and if we care about the earth, that is the most important fact that we have to consider.
What?
That reducing the number of the people on this earth that take the resources and
Mhm.
produce the toxic chemicals for the environment.
Yeah, like actually some people, for instance, people in my family actually don't think that the temperatures are changing. I'll tell people in my family like, wow, I can't believe this is such a weird Christmas. And they're like, it's like this in Minnesota. You've seen a brown. What? I've not seen a brown
So
Christmas.
that minority. See, the most of the the most of the humanity, the most of the science, and let's put it this way, 98% of the science is very clear about what's happening, and we are acting, right? I'm optimistic. Now imagine you go to a bridge and 98 engineers are telling you, don't go on that bridge, it will collapse, you will die. And two of the engineers say, oh, it's
Whatever.
safe. Oh, it's safe, Amanda. Go, go, go. Well, now, let's say you absolutely want to go over that bridge. You hate those 98 and you love those two people that say it's safe to go on that. Would you go on that bridge if 98 of them say it will collapse and you will die?
I want to say I wouldn't.
So those people who are really that blind to the facts, it means nothing, because industry, the people who built or living, they have recognized this is something, it's real, it's man-made, and we can build it in our economy and win. We can make it to a winning point. This does not need to be a lose-lose situation. This can be a win-win situation by, if I could put a solar panel on my roof and pay less electricity bill, I want to do that.
So do you have, if you put solar panels on, would you have to pay more?
Well, no, right now is that, I have to have an initial cost associated with that. Most of the time, it takes a long time to recover that money back. But now, if the industry can come and give me a better solution.
And that's my problem. That's why I'm having a problem, because why don't you just make it work? Like, why don't the industries just make it work? Like, for instance, my garbage company, or my county that I live in, they're doing a new mandate, organics recycling. So it's for people, everyone has to pay it, and it's not a big amount, but now they're adding another diesel truck that's going to go to everyone's house to pick up their organics. These organics are like food and things like that, like paper waste that you can compost. But why don't, instead of adding another truck, multiple trucks to driving around to this route, idling in front of people's houses, and that's taking a lot of energy. Why don't you just teach the public how to compost on their own? That's what I don't understand. That's where my problem is. You're making it a bigger problem than it could be.
Okay, let me add this twist on that, okay? Let me add a twist on that see that this is more complex than what you think. So the twist I'm going to put on that, imagine the city take all the compost material, put it in a place that when they decompose and create methane, it actually takes the methane of that and run a power plant of it.
Well, the city's
whereas if you alone do that, all that decomposing material create the methane that submit to the atmosphere, and then that create 40 times or 45 times more greenhouse effect than carbon dioxide.
Well, if the city was doing that, that'd be great. But the city is actually reselling the compost to people who want to buy it, who have gardens.
No, but what they could do.
Yeah, what they could do, but what they are doing.
No, but let me tell you, get it a little further. Okay, so what they could do, they could put it all in one place, let the methane to be produced, and use that methane for a power plant. Then the leftover could be a fantastic compost that they can resell.
True.
And so on and so forth. Now, I'm again an optimist here. I think once we have the infrastructure to get it to the right place, then it's easier to connect to, instead of just letting it decompose as usual, put it all to run a power plant. Like cows are a huge source of methane. In lots of places, if you have enough cow, if you have enough manure, you can actually take the methane from the manure and actually use it to heat buildings, power plant, produce energy. Then that methane turns into carbon dioxide with 1/40th effect on the greenhouse effect. So again, I think our science is growing faster than our damage that we are doing to the environment. So that keeps me always an optimist regarding I'm a big believer in science.
And I love the science and I love the optimism, but here's my question. If we can do it, why aren't we?
We are.
If if my neighborhood can do that, why instead are they reselling it to the same people that you're taking it from? That's what I don't get.
Well,
Or like it's already mandated. We already have to do this. But then my neighbors are telling me that on their doorbell cameras, they see the garbage truck picking up the organics and putting it in the same bin. So if you can, why aren't you?
I would be surprised, even though sometimes it looks like the same bin, but internally,
No, it's the same truck picking up both bins.
okay, but they have multiple containers, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure about that they have multiple containers. You see it same thing, but internally, yeah, because that would make no difference. You'd separate it and then they put it in the same.
Well, and here's the thing, like, you're not teaching people how to separate it. You can't throw plastic in your organics.
Except that plastic is kind of plastic, that it's made of material that will decompose because
How many scientists do you think live on my street that know what kind of plastic can decompose? Just be so real.
but I think that comes where the regulation comes in. We should just make the packaging only from kind of plastic that can decompose.
Exactly.
And we have those things. We have like we can turn corn, literally corn, to kind of plastic that it can decompose.
So this is why I'm upset. We can do it. Yeah. Why aren't we?
It's more expensive.
I don't care how
Yeah.
expensive it is.
Well,
I really,
okay, so let me go back now 40 years that we had this idea that we thought should be environment or economy. And let me tell you from my experience, that approach failed.
has to be both.
No, it has to be that approach that makes this environmental win part of economic win.
Exactly.
Because whenever we said, I don't care about the economy, it has to be done, that approach truly failed.
No, I care about the economy, but I care about the environment more. You can't have a good economy if you have no people.
That is a forward-thinking thing I appreciate in you, but I'm just telling you, every time we try to separate it and say environment is it's number one, no matter what the impact on economy, that approach always have failed. But every time we tried and we succeeded to make the economic win part of environmental win part of economic win, that approach always succeeded. So let's just now just be there and say that I'm very optimistic about the future. I'm not that dark doom and gloom kind of everything going to get hot and everybody's going to die and so on. I think humanity will move forward. We will stabilize our number of the people on the planet. The number will go slowly down. We will find a lot of sciencey solution for problem of the climate, but it is still the reality. This is the warmest winter I have ever had in Minnesota. So I'm not complaining, you know.
I am. I'm
No,
complaining.
I'm okay with not.
I am not. And
below.
to be honest, this is where I'm going to end it. I'm sick of people being happy about this weather. It's not about you. You live indoors. You are going to be okay if it's negative 50 degrees. You live inside. The animals, the planet, they care. And that's who's impacted.
Oh, okay. I'm going to be a devil's advocate. Do you think that those poor deer and possum and so on, they love?
Okay, be a devil's advocate. Do you think that the possum and the deer have the same coat in the winter as they do in the summer? They have special fur that keeps them warmer in the winter. That's why they live outside.
Okay, if I was a
Advocate
possum,
for them.
if I was a possum, I wanted 40-degree rather than below 30.
Yep. So then you can be sweating and have no food and actually be starving, and because they don't have any food right now.
Possums, at least in your neighborhood, have enough food.
Yeah, thank me for that. Thank me for that because I organically compost.
No,
I compost in my backyard so they can come and eat that.
All the food for your chicken, who are the most expensive chicken in the whole universe.
See, I'm just giving back to the earth everywhere I can.
No,
and then I'm getting knocked down by an optimist.
You get a bag of like, you know, the dog food or whatever food. She just leaves it out there for the entire neighborhood wildlife. And they come like all you can eat, like probably possum are coming and saying, hey, have you been with in Amanda's backyard these days? Oh, that food is so delicious. Let's all go have a party there.
Someone has to do it. Someone has to feed the animals.
Yeah, I know you are. And that they're very thankful. Didn't you tell me one of those possum, when you were trying to say they should not steal your eggs, they were looking at you, say, what's wrong with you, crazy lady?
Every time I deal with the possums, they are not afraid of me. It doesn't matter if I'm yelling, doesn't matter if I have a flashlight, they just stare.
They just stare at you like, you know, what do you want? This
Same with the raccoons. Like when I actually, sorry guys, but when a raccoon broke into my chicken coop recently, and I actually had to push it because when I was yelling at it, it wouldn't even run away.
raccoon?
Yeah, I had to push it off because it was on top of my
They
deck.
can be dangerous. They can bite you.
I actually had a dog with me, so it wouldn't bite. But
That you mean Lily? That little dog that hides
I had a
behind you?
dog with me.
Okay, well, let's wrap it up
Okay,
now.
thanks for watching. This was Essence of Science. Today we talked about climate. I'm Amanda Armagoss.